Melissa, it's just you and I.
I see that.
I'll call the meeting to order. Let's adjourn.
There you go.
Oh, if only. I should probably take this moment to review the agenda. Speaking of financial report, did Rob provide a report, or are we just keeping that on there as a formality?
Just keeping that on there as a formality. I didn't see anything and didn't seem like he had anything to provide.
Yeah, gotcha. And I assume Pat's going to bring up about Macrina.
I think that's going to be in executive session, potentially.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of, I need to, hold on. Because I thought you had, I thought when I looked at the email, it had an executive session link on there, but for some reason, when I saved it on my calendar, it was just the public meeting. So,
Hi, Eric.
Hello. Is that
how you doing?
Pat?
Yeah,
I'm
how you
good.
doing this evening? Good, good.
Pretty good. Yeah, thanks. Well, you got your hands full there, Pat. You need a police chief and a rec director, huh?
I know. I'm thinking about trying to combine them. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah. That'll save some money, right?
Yeah, well, we'll try. We could spend a little time doing each.
There you go.
Eric, did you get the see the email that Natalie won't be able to join us this evening?
Yes, and
Okay.
as well as Randy, I believe.
Randy and Pete.
Pete, right. Okay, so Pat, I see we have a quorum of rec board members on the call. Is everybody,
Okay,
should we get started? Well, I'll give everybody, I'll give it one more minute here.
okay.
Okay, so we have a quorum here, so we'll get started. I'd like to welcome everybody to the September rec board meeting. So we'll call this meeting to order. First thing on our agenda is public comment. Is there any public comment? You may unmute yourself and speak if you do. Going once, going twice. Okay, no public comment. Next will be the approval of the August minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Not hearing any, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Steve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Eric Donahue. Anyone opposed to that motion? Okay, the motion to accept the minutes carries. Next, we have approval of the financial report. And Randy, who usually does our financial report, is unable to attend. So do we have any, anybody have any questions or anything that stands out on the financial report? And I believe I think everything, almost everything from the summer is in there, Pat, right? Is there
Yes, sir.
anything outstanding? Okay.
And you'll have another report under old business for pool revenue and expenses.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we'll get into the pool under old business. So does anybody have any questions about this financial report?
No questions on my
Okay.
part.
I don't hear any questions, so I'll entertain a motion to accept the financial report.
I'll make a
So
motion.
moved.
Okay. Motion by Eric Donahue. Was that a second by Steve Bruner?
Can be. Yep.
Okay. Second by Steve. Anyone opposed to the financial report? Okay. The motion carries. Next on the agenda will be our Parks and Rec Director's report, which I think everyone knows. Rob Lewis has moved on, so we have a vacancy in the Rec Director's position. And maybe, Pat, can you shed any light? Is there anything you need the Rec Board to do, or do we have any prospects, or is there anything happening on filling that position?
Steve, would you like to comment on that from council?
Or
Steve, you
yes.
there? Steve, you there?
Sorry, I was muted. Sorry.
Okay, Steve.
so-
Yeah,
Yeah. So the bottom line is we do have an idea, and I think we'll discuss it in an executive session of Rec Board because that's a personnel matter.
Okay.
So why don't you can continue with the order. We'll just do that towards the end.
Okay. Very good. So the next would be our committee report, Spooky Hollow. And we had some emails passed around about Spooky Hollow, and Pete Beck, who is the chairperson for Spooky Hollow, I guess had a discussion with Rob before he left, and they were pretty much thinking we should just cancel it. So we can discuss that now. If there's anybody that feels strongly about having it, or, whatever, any comment on that. And then we'll take a vote.
I feel okay with canceling it. I think there have been questions. It's Angela, by the way. There have been questions in the community, and I know this is not necessarily a rec board matter, but there have been questions about Halloween in general. So I don't know if that's something we want to bring up later after we vote on this.
Okay, sure. Yes, I think we can discuss that. Yes. Okay, so I will, if there's no discussion, we'll entertain a motion to cancel Spooky Hollow for 2020.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Eric Donahue. Is there a
I'll
second?
second. I'll second, Sally.
That's Sally McAvoy.
Yes.
Thank you, Sally. Anyone opposed to canceling Spooky Hollow? Okay, not hearing any opposition, the motion carries to cancel Spooky Hollow. So I don't know if now, I don't know if we can talk about trick-or-treating now, I guess. As Angela brought up, might be time to discuss that. And from what I recall, I know I think the police have something there's some type of involvement from the police, I think, whether we have it or not, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong. So I'm not sure I don't think rec board makes the final decision if we have trick-or-treating or not. So maybe, I don't know if anybody else can shed some light on that. If it's Pat or Steve, if you remember from last year, I think we had to discuss this at some point because of, we discussed trick-or-treating last year for some reason. I don't recall why, but there was something we discussed.
There was
Move it
like,
there.
there was really bad weather. I think it was like raining.
Right.
It was
Okay.
raining.
Okay.
There was rain and a lot of, I think a storm, and a lot of boroughs moved it to another date.
Okay. That's right.
We did not move it. The weather did not,
That's right. Yep.
Nope.
the weather was fine, I remember. And there was a lot of controversy around that. However, I believe we said that the borough really doesn't decide that, but again, I can't recall. I do remember it was a weather issue last year, and it was moving it to an alternate date.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Angela.
And Eric, from a borough perspective, in the past, and here again in my 2 years, really the boroughs does not get involved in the trick-or-treat operations. I think that last year was an exception to that. Steve, you can help me out if I'm wrong here, and you're exactly correct on the weather. But we've had a couple emails come in from residents that are concerned about trick-or-treating. And some of the suggestions have been that maybe people can just put a bowl of candy on the porch, and if kids want to still trick-or-treat, they could basically kind of be contact-free with the residents. That was kind of the concern, was actually having contact with the residents going to various houses.
Sure.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know how we would do that other than maybe put out a precautionary thing from the rec board, or I know this will probably be discussed at fire and police. But the police really don't have any really involvement in it either, other than the fact that they patrol the area Reading Boulevard pretty heavy that night because of all the activities that go on up there. Steve, are you aware of anything else?
No, I mean, I just don't know how you, listen, I get it. I get the
Yeah.
concern. And I don't know how you stop people from trick-or-treating.
Right.
My plan, quite frankly, is I'm going to turn the light off. And I'm just not going to put anything out. And if they come ring the doorbell, I'm not going to answer. I'll disappear for a little bit. I mean, if that's what if I don't want to give trick-or-treaters a trick or a treat, I'm not going to be there. But I get people are concerned, especially on Reading Boulevard. That's created its own animal. But I don't know what we can do to stop it. I believe West Reading has already said they're not doing trick-or-treating. But I have no idea how you're going to go out and how you're going to stop people from doing it.
Right, and yeah, I think they can stop it from the standpoint that the borough doesn't sanction it. But here again, we've never been in that position to have to make any of those decisions like that. And like you said, you know, if people want to trick or treat, they can go ahead. If residents don't want to participate in that program, our suggestion would be to turn the lights off and, you know, not be involved.
I believe that I've been seeing some Facebook posts on the Hills website just asking, is trick-or-treating happening? I believe you'll continue to get probably emails looking for guidance. Like we all know that we don't control it. I mean, I think that if we want to put out guidance and say, like you all said, if you want to participate, you turn your light on. If you don't, it's kind of like it always is. If you don't
Right.
participate, you turn your light off. And we really don't have jurisdiction over canceling or not canceling Halloween. I just know that we're going to get emails and, you know, people asking.
Well, if we're not going to do anything and people are concerned about it, we'll just put a statement out maybe on the website, Pat, that says, if
Yep.
you don't want trick-or-treaters, you turn your lights off or leave the house for 2 hours. Something, one of the two.
We'll come up with some type of a statement to put out there, and we'll circulate it out to the rec board members to get your blessing on it, and go from there.
I mean,
That's
if fire and police want to act on it, if fire and police want to act on it, they can, but I don't know what the rec board can do. Rec board can't say we're not going to do it.
Right.
Sounds reasonable to me. Anyone else have any input on that? Okay, not hearing any, we'll move on the agenda into old business. That will be pool revenue and expenses. So we had an operating deficit of $73,341. To compare to 2019, we had a deficit of $22,711. Does anybody have any questions or concerns about?
Yeah, this is
One of the
outrageous.
One of the questions I have is, how much would we have spent anyway without opening the pool? Because there was going to be, obviously the personnel costs would have been lower, but we were going to have to fill the pool, run all those things. I mean, I get it's not going to close the gap, but you know,
I think Steve, and where I looked at this and I spoke with Phyllis about it, I think you would have paid utilities, you would have paid the mowing, we would have done general maintenance, you know, all the things that were done would have had to be done to open the pool to begin with. So
Right.
I think if you took supplies, general maintenance, maybe our supplies are up a little bit, maybe by about $5,000 due to the fact of the extra COVID supplies. But I think if you, you know, take in consideration, we would have been doing the maintenance, the supplies, the utilities, and the mowing. It kind of gives you an idea of where that gap would be.
Yeah.
Really, it's mostly related to wages.
Yeah, it's related to wages and the fact that we, quite frankly, waited too long to open the pool and people didn't join. I mean, that's the way it works. That all being said, I thought the pool was a success for those who were able to use it. I think Rob and Kate and Pete, and I know I'm forgetting other people, did a fantastic job along with the borough's help of keeping everybody the way they should be in this crisis. If nothing else, it's a small win for the kids of the world. They finally got a little bit of normalcy. Yeah, it's probably bigger than we wanted to chew off, but I will tell you that every year we've lost money in the pool, and I will also say that I think that number is a little overinflated because we would have had to done a bunch of different things to the pool to keep it running, because you can't just shut the filters off and not run them again for another year. You have to fill it up. You have to cut the grass. So some of that stuff is duplicative, but at the end of the day, yeah, it was a bad year at the pool financially.
But I want to agree with Steve that they did an incredible job. Rob, Pete, Kate, all the staff, the guards, everything ran very smoothly. I think most people that came in, you know, respected all the protocols that were in place. And I agree with Steve in the fact that, you know, and it doesn't necessarily matter anymore, but if the decision would have been made earlier, I think obviously that number would have been down because a lot of people joined Wilshire, Wyomissing Hills when it looked like we weren't going to open. But I mean, I do think they did an incredible job overall.
That I'd say. And the other thing I'd say about the financials is because the rec board has done so little this year, and please don't take that the wrong way. I'm only one of you, so I get it. But, you know, the 4th of July parade, there was very few expenses in for the 4th of July parade. There's going to be no expense for Sleepy Hollow. We'll be able to recover some of those dollars by the fact that we're not having other things. But I know we have to discuss, Pat, when do we have to discuss next year's rates? That would have to be in time for.
That was going to be, it's down under new business tonight, Steve, just
Right.
the 2021 fee schedule. I mean, I had a recommendation for you on that, but
Okay, then we'll discuss that tonight. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I mean, it's just, you know, in my opinion, it's a win for the kids of the borough. It's a shame it wasn't opened earlier, that we had more people sign up, and, you know, live and learn.
That is your opinion, Mr. Bruner, and that is, we have to take that in consideration. Very loud opinion, but it is an opinion. It's a financial disaster. That's what it is.
Are you calling me a loud opinion? Okay, that's fair.
Okay, and any other comments on pool expenses? Okay, moving on. We have an Eagle Scout project.
I can speak to that. This is Michelle Bear. I was speaking to Justin, the Eagle Scout that had contacted Rob earlier in the year about 4 games that he was going to build for the borough. Justin had reached out a couple weeks ago to ask if the borough would contribute towards the cost of him purchasing the supplies. Rob responded to him. It was, I believe, a few days after Rob's last day actually working at Borough Hall. Rob responded and copied me on it, saying that typically an Eagle Scout is supposed to pay for all supplies and the cost of their project. He did recommend Justin reach out to Lowe's and Home Depot to ask if they would be willing to donate supplies. He also gave Justin my contact information and asked that he send all future correspondence to me, and I did reach out to Justin. I've not heard back from him. So that's all I have to report.
Okay. Yeah, and as I happen to be the committee chair for our Boy Scout troop, and I think Justin, it is not, yes, it's Justin's responsibility and part of his project to raise money for he's supposed to raise funds for his project. So that's not, I would say absolutely not that the borough should contribute anything towards that. So I agree with what Rob said, for sure.
I will let you know if I hear anything further from Justin.
Okay, very good. Okay, and then we have some, so one thing I would like to do tonight is get a little subcommittee. So we need another student representative. So that's the next thing on our agenda. And I have received an email, and I think the borough has gotten 1 or 2 emails for a couple students that are juniors that would be interested in serving on as our student representative. And I would like to, before the next rec board meeting, review their applications or their resumes, and then set up a time to do, I guess we'd do like a Zoom interview with them. So if there was, 2 or 3 or 4 rec board members that would be willing to help to interview the students, maybe you could let me know now if you're interested.
I can help.
Okay, Sally McAvoy is one. Thank you.
I participated last year. I can help. Angela.
Is that Angela? Okay, Angela, Sally. Anybody else?
I can help, Eric.
Is that Kate?
Yes, sorry, I was late.
Okay. So with the 4 of us, I think we can get it done. So that's great. What I'll do is I'll gather their emails, their resumes, and I'll just send that to our little group, and then we can go through them and come up with a date to set up a Zoom call with the candidates. Sound good to everybody?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, so that takes us into new business, which would be our 2021 budget. And I don't know, Melissa, is there anything to show here for that?
No, I don't have anything to show.
Okay,
Eric, if you don't mind, we have some items. I'd like for Michelle to give her report on where we're at with that grant, because that would be a capital item coming out of
Okay.
the 2021 budget.
sure.
Before Michelle gets on there, we do have a couple items that Rob had placed on there to continue the Solitude Pond management, the pool painting, some electrical reworking at the pool, rather extensive, replacing a shade awning at the pool near the snack bar. And once again, Michelle here can give you the information on the Berkshire Heights playground, which would be a complete redo.
Okay, great.
Michelle, you there?
Floor is yours.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was trying to mute myself and do something else at the same time. So I believe Rob had presented information to you several months ago about the upgrades that were going to be made to the Berkshire Heights playground. The main reasons for updating that playground equipment was it was old and outdated. It potentially had safety issues, and Rob wanted to make it ADA compliant. Working with Colleen Terry, who is the borough's grant writer, we applied for a Greenways, Recreations, and Trails grant. That grant is for the cost of replacing the playground, making ADA parking spaces, making ADA compliant pathways that will lead to the actual new playground equipment, and then obviously replacement of the equipment and the area around it. That, if you give me 1 second, because my computer just froze right as I was about to open the document that had the cost on it. The total cost for the playground equipment, 1 second for me. The total cost of the playground modifications is $205,315.95. This grant does have a 15% match cost associated with it, which, if you give me 1 second. Comes out to approximately $39,664 that the borough would need to contribute towards the cost of the project. Working with Kathy Bruder, who is also works on behalf of the borough as our lobbyist. Things are being done a little bit different in Harrisburg this year. Normally, we'd be having face-to-face meetings with Senator Schwank, Representative Gillen, as well as any other state representatives or senators that are part of DCNR that have a final say on the vote as to who gets the money and who doesn't. I have reached out to Senator Schwank and invited her as well as a representative from DCNR to come and tour the facility. They've not responded yay or nay, though Senator Schwank did provide a letter of support, as did the county commissioners. So, you know, I'm keeping tabs with Kathy Bruder as to her thoughts. If there's anyone else in Harrisburg we should be reaching out to, but we're both optimistic the borough will be funded on this project.
Great.
Excellent. Thank you, Michelle. Does anybody have any questions for Michelle?
So my question is, so our borough contribution would be 39,000 something, whatever you said. That's the 15% match.
Correct.
And you're thinking that the grant would cover the remainder.
That's the intent, yes.
Wow, that's pretty good.
It is.
Yep.
And that $39,000 would be budgeted.
Okay.
And I have a question for Michelle. Does that also include what you talked about making pathways ADA accessible in the area around the equipment, or is it just the equipment that the grant?
The grant covers everything. Looking through the cost estimate, which I can forward a copy of this out to the rec board if you want to see it. I mean, that even includes E&S controls, site improvements like benches, picnic tables, park signs, our stormwater controls that we're required to put in under the Berks County Conservation District, the path, the pads, the parking, demo of the existing equipment, and then the new equipment.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Any other questions for Michelle? Okay, thank you, Michelle. Great report. All right, next on our new business would be our 2021 fee schedule, which is on the screen now.
Eric, I was just going to make a recommendation. I know that the rec board spent considerable time last year redoing the pool fees and so forth. And due to the COVID situation and the actual economy and our residents, I actually was asking if the rec board would consider just leaving the 2021 fee schedule as it is in 2020 for this year.
Okay, so just keep the fees the same. Is that what you're saying, Pat?
That would be my recommendation, just based on what the community has gone through.
Yeah. How does
I defer
anybody?
to Steve for his comments.
Yes.
Listen, if we're trying to make money on rec things, we're in the wrong business. So I agree. I think we should just leave them alone. We have no basis of this year of being able to see where they stand. We raised them. No one really paid them because we never got there. So I agree with Pat that we should just leave them where they are.
It's my understanding that we hadn't raised the pool fees in 5 years, so I don't think it's something that we do every year anyway. I think we do it every so often. I might be wrong on that, but I think that's the history behind it.
I think
believe
we
you're
raised them
correct,
last year, Kate.
Yeah, we did raise them last year. And we changed the structure of it too.
Yes.
Correct.
I forget how exactly what we did, but we changed the structure of it too. So I'll make a motion that we keep the fee structure the same.
I'll second that.
Second by Eric. Motion by Steve, second by Eric Donahue. Anyone opposed to that motion, keeping the pool fees the same? Okay, the motion carries. The pool fees will stay the same. Okay, I guess the last thing before we go to an executive session is any correspondence? Usually they're emails that Rob would have gotten, but I didn't see any passed on to me. So if there's no correspondence, then all the, go ahead.
Are we coming back after that executive session?
We have to.
Yes, we'll come back to close.
Okay.
Yep, we'll come back to close the meeting.
That's fine. The only question I had was, it might be too early to discuss it, but I know Rob would start to plan a lot of stuff and that would help him for the lighting of the greens. I didn't know if you guys want to discuss that at all or just wait. Because I'm sure he starts to set up stuff
right
soon.
Well, we don't even know if we're going to be able to have the lighting of the greens. That's part of the problem.
No, I agree with you. And that's why I'm just asking the question, do we make a decision now about it or we just sort of table it?
I say we table it till the next rec board meeting.
Okay, that's fine.
And then, one other thing on the agenda that we can quick talk about, Randy Widener's term is up on the rec board on December 31st. And he informed me the other day that he will not be seeking, another term. So I guess we need to appoint another person to the rec board. So we have 2 members now. I guess there's 2 members that are, I forget what our term is, like at large.
Alternate.
Oh, sorry. Yes, alternate members. So, obviously one of those 2 would fill Randy's seat and then we would seek another alternate member. So maybe we can, put our feelers out for people in the community that might be interested in serving in the alternate position. And then we will discuss, you know, in the future, maybe our next, you know, we'll get someone lined up to take his place for the January meeting. So just so everyone knows. So get your feelers out there if there's anybody, you know, that might be interested in serving. Okay, that's all I got. And now we will go back. We will end this and go to, well, we won't end this. We will jump over to our executive session. So, and that was in the email that Melissa sent out.
And Melissa, you'll notify Mr. Jady when we're back, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, so if everybody wants to jump over to that executive meeting now, we'll see you in a minute.
Hello.
All right.
Yep.
Looks like just about everybody's back over.
Eric, if I could ask you to give it 1 minute for the
Sure.
public comment person, and we'll go from there.
Okay, sure.
Hey, Sally? Sally, McAvoy?
Yes.
I have a red bin of yours that came to the pool with some candy in it. And
Oh,
I think it's from your classroom.
from the Easter eggs that we were filming before this all started.
It's in the back of my car, so maybe after hockey someday I could just put it on the grass and then you could pick it up.
That's a deal.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Eric, I think you can proceed.
Okay. All right. So we broke off into an executive session to discuss a personnel matter specific to the rec director position. So that conversation has ended. Now we're back to our regular rec board meeting. And last thing on our agenda is our next rec board meeting, which will be Tuesday, October 20th at 7 p.m. over Zoom again. And I will now entertain a motion to close.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Eric, seconded by
I can second it.
Sally Donato. Anyone opposed to a closing? All right, motion carries. We'll see everybody in October.
Thank
See you
you.
guys.
All right. Thanks, Eric.
So long, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you, Eric.
Okay,
Bye.
good night.